In my last video, I talked about the reasons why I bought a Commodore callback. Also in that video, I mentioned purchasing a Commodore 64 Ultimate. Ever since I made that order, I've been looking at Commodore's website, checking my order, fingers crossed, hoping that something would ship. And ever since I placed that order, the order has always said, your order has left the factory. Now, I know this can't be true because from what I understand, they haven't even started making the Commodore callbacks yet. And even if they had, they wouldn't be putting them out this quickly. The Commodore 64 Ultimate has been out for quite some time now, so there's a possibility it could have left the factory. However, for both to say the same thing is probably a bit of a misnomer. Commodore's shipping information is known to be not so accurate. Even right now, as we speak, my order shows that it has left the factory. No shipping information, no nothing. So imagine my surprise when my wife says, "Hey, you got something in the mail today." Lo and behold, it's my Commodore 64 Ultimate. So join me as I head over to my unboxing station and we unbox my Commodore 64 Ultimate Starlight Edition. All right, so here we have the box. Like I said, this just got here today, so what you're seeing is the first time that I've seen anything. We've got our Commodore logo, manufacturer, Moss Technology. And then the Commodore International Corporation, the 8th Green, Suite A, Dover, Kent, Delaware, USA. So I got a couple little nicks here from shipping, but that's not terrible. Start with cutting away from it, which is safe. I'm doing this on a new area for me. This is kind of an area I set up to do soldering and tinkering and things like that. But it looks a little disheveled. Well, it is. And here we now, this box seems to be, as you've probably seen others say, very true, or attempting to be true to the original as they could. Of course, it's the 64 Ultimate, but it's got the Commodore seal approval. You've got 128 megs of memory with turbo boost. First official Commodore 64 in over 30 years. There's a whole group of people online that say that this really isn't a Commodore 64 because, unlike the original Commodore 64, this is running off of an FPGA board. We'll get into that later. This is not going to be a video where I tear this thing apart and show you the guts. This is just the unboxing and first impressions. I will have a video later where I tell you how I'm actually planning on using this in my day-to-day life. You can see on the side here, we've got a basic beige, the Starlight Edition, which is what I purchased, and the Founders Edition. Flipping around to the back, your data, not big data. You can do spreadsheets and things. I actually have a litany of software from the original Commodore days in floppies. As a matter of fact, this is just my games bin. It is slam full of games. The nice part about the Commodore 64 Ultimate, even though it is a newer generation FPGA board, it's compatible. BBS is not social media. I actually check the news now on a BBS, and I cannot wait to check out Serve here, which will allow me to download games because this has LAN connection and Wi-Fi, but I'll get into that later. So hopefully too, I'll be able to take advantage of the studying thing because I'm looking to learn a little bit more about programming. And then it mentions games and some other stuff here. Got my serial number here, which is kind of hard to see in the light. You don't need to see my serial number, you just want to see the Commodore. So let's flip this around. And gently, because the plan is to preserve this box by sticking it right back in the original shipping box. There we go. Welcome back to the world-friendly computer. So inside our box, we've got our accessories, which I've got a standard Commodore HDMI cable. We've got our international 12-volt adapter, really cool stickers, and the very second Commodore 64 Ultimate cassette. This isn't even actually a cassette. It looks like a cassette, but USB drive that's got a bunch of games and stuff in it. Be able to explore that shortly as well. Got welcome to your digital oasis. And something that devices don't come with anymore, a complete owner's manual. Now looking at this manual and then looking at the original owner's manual, they're very similar. I'm not even sure I need to open this one right now, so I'm not. Just gonna put this right back in here because I'm one of those weirdos that saves everything, including the plastic. Say that, and be like, oh, there it is. Say, did they make this like not freeze dried? They make it like a oh whatever. Here we go. Get the box out of the way. And there. Zoom in a little bit. There we have Commodore 64 Starlight Edition. Now there are being people complaining about the flex of the keyboard. That might have been an earlier revision because I do not see any flex on this keyboard. That's exciting. I thought I was going to have to make a 3D print to reinforce the back of the keyboard. In our power supply box, we have the power supplies for different countries. And then this tiny little power supply here beats that giant brick of the power supply that you had with the original. I'm in the States. I put the one for North America. All right, well, as you can see here, we've got a helper. We've got Lucy here. She's going to help us today. You going to help us play with the Commodore? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on our capture card. And then I'm going to press the power button right here.
One eternity later.
And there we are at our basic screen. So we're going to type the first program you ever learned. And there you go. Run, stop. So this is where it would normally be forever, right? This is your Commodore 64 screen. This is what everybody's used to. I am running it out of an HDMI cable and into a capture card, but it's kind of the same thing. So on the back here, we do have your video out, your serial in, and this says it's RF, but I'm pretty sure that's a headphone slot now for like speakers. You've got USB ports over here, your HDMI here, and you've got Ethernet here. You do have access to the tape drive, and you have your two controller ports here, which again, everything is supposed to be compatible with 99% compatibility. Now, we also have a special feature over here. The power button, if we press and hold, will take us to another menu. That resets us. So if we press and hold, nope, maybe we just press. There we go. You just press, it takes you to a different menu. And we can browse disks. We can do a turbo boost on the memory. We can do video setup. And we need to change this from PAL to NTSC. We can do SD, HD, full HD, HDMI scan lines. We can enable or we can disable. And you can also use the WSAD keys, which, to my knowledge, for a lot of things you could not do before in the Commodore. Analog video home mode. We'll leave that as it is. View. Go. Digital video mode auto. Then go to back to the menu. Audio setup. Now you have the option. There are two empty SID slots here, but you have the option of adding two SID chips in here, which I'll go over in a future video. Speaker enabled. We'll leave that on. I think we're just going to leave everything as the default now. Joysticks and controllers, joystick input normal, paddle override, LED lighting. So we can change the LED lighting to a fixed color. And then you can just change all of that. So if we went to red, we'll go to red. And for right now, I've just got it set to pastel. Pastel blue. But you can change that. You can also just turn it off if you want to. And there you go. Key mode default, key mode off. That turns off all the LEDs. All right, network and services. You've got a host name, so you can actually probably host a BBS on here. I think you actually can. You can change your host name on here if you wanted to. Oh, got to change my time zone. New York. FTP file service, telnet remote. There's a lot of things you can do in here. Pretty cool. Wired network setup, Wi-Fi network setup. That's a default network in there. I'm going to pause the video and set up my network and I'll be right back. All right, so I actually had to consult the owner's manual because I, for some reason, wasn't connecting to Wi-Fi. But the owner's manual goes into great detail about many things, including how to update the Commodore 64. So we're back in here. I'm going to press the menu button again. And we've got modems. So you can choose different modems. And your run stop button is like your back button. Your return is obviously like enter. You can set up printers. I'm sure that at some point I could probably even find my Wi-Fi printer. User interface. Interface type. Overlay on HDMI. I think I'm going to just leave it the way it is for right now. Play with it for a while. So yeah, it didn't save my scanline settings, but video setup, NTSC, scanlines disabled. Maybe it did. Maybe that's just the way it looks in this capture card. Whatever. So let's see about using our very second SD card here. So it goes into the USB port, hopefully like so. Oh, that's not the USB port. Silly me. All right. You've got to put it in wrong once. There we go. You can't see it, but it's lighting up. So now we go back using, oh, there's our save there. Use the WSAD this time. Disk file browser, SD card. USB, enter. There's actually an SD card slot inside the device as well. So we've got demos. We're going to go into a demo. I'm going to check this out. And run. You get sounds like you're loading a disk. You can turn that off as well. And the Commodore 64 Ultimate is set up cycle for cycle like the original Commodore 64 and the peripherals. So it's spinning exactly as it would on a 1541 disk drive. So this may take a minute. Really cool looking. I don't know if it's supposed to be playing audio or not. Let's see. Well, I was going to exit out. Run stop's not working. Not sure what to do. So there. Oh, I just hit up apparently on the rocker switch. I've heard people complaining about this rocker switch because it doesn't feel like normal to a Commodore 64. Now, I don't know how to exactly power this off. Oh, I guess just pressing and holding will do that. So we're just going to tap it to go up again. So that was just a quick unboxing of the Commodore 64 Ultimate. And what are my initial thoughts? Well, it's got some really cool features, and I really like the interface. I think there's some room for improvement, but unlike the original Commodore 64, there will be firmware updates. As a matter of fact, I have to install one right after this video. Since filming, I've learned a couple of things about the Commodore 64 Ultimate and a couple of tweaks that I can make. So in future videos, I'll be showing much more of the capabilities of the Commodore 64 Ultimate, and I might even try to live stream on Twitch. So I'd like to know if you have questions about the Commodore 64 Ultimate. Coming from someone who's been playing with Commodore since I was a kid, I still own several different Commodores, including this Commodore PET behind me. I've played some games, I've used applications. I'd like to know what questions you have for me now that I have both old and new Commodores. And I'd like to know your thought on this. Is the Commodore 64 Ultimate an actual Commodore? Or is it just another in a long series of emulators? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll give you my answer in the next video. As always, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I have making it. My name is Bryant. This is Reviews for Nerds. Have a great day.